Okay, now let's talk about ancient Egypt. So, ancient Egypt is the period that succeeded prehistoric Egypt. So, like we talked about last lecture, prehistoric means before the invention of writing, right? So, Egypt actually existed before writing was invented. And after writing was invented, we call it ancient Egypt. And then ancient Egypt is now divided into Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom. And ancient Egypt was supported by the Nile River. The Nile River was, it made the soil around the river very fertile, and that's why the Egyptian civilization sprung up around the Nile River. So throughout history, we're going to see a trend of civilizations springing up where there's rivers and where the land is fertile because of those rivers. And that fertility of the land allows for agriculture. You can grow crops and you can irrigate water easily. And that's why civilizations spring up around rivers. So ancient Egypt had many achievements. They invented quarrying, mining, construction, medicine. They're not advanced Western medicine. They're not gonna, cure diseases that we can cure now, but they did have surgeries. They just didn't use anesthesia. They had irrigation, they had simple mathematics. I wouldn't say simple, but they're definitely considered more simple compared to math that was discovered in Greece, ancient Greece, and during the Italian Renaissance. They had art and they had architecture as well. So they were a pretty advanced civilization, considering the fact that this was well over 2,000 years ago. So here's some characteristics of ancient Egyptian art. Okay, so there's a lot of two-dimensional paintings and drawings. They're very flat. Lots of interaction with animals, just like Mesopotamia, but they're a little bit different. The animals are depicted more in their deities than they are depicted as interactions. The emphasis is on the eyes as well, just like Mesopotamia. And use of gold in decorations and depictions of royalty. So they used a lot of gold. So if you look at the casket of Egyptian royalty, such as Tutankhamun, you're gonna see that they're decorated with a lot of gold. They depicted scenes of wars and deities in agriculture and the afterlife. The afterlife was a huge part of Egyptian culture. Use of bright pigments and colors. So Egyptian art is very vibrant. It very pops. Depiction of kings as gods. The pharaohs, the kings, they're called pharaohs in Egypt. They were considered to be gods, so they were literally worshipped. Importance of figures were expressed via size differences, and then expression of perspective through having multiple rows on scene. So they didn't have linear perspective back then. So to depict perspective, they actually drew people above each other on multiple rows. So we'll be taking a look at that. So here are some examples. If you look at this, person, I don't know which pharaoh this is. We'll just call it royalty. Okay, you see, this person is decked out, and most likely, in real life, this is all gold, a lot of gold, a lot of shining, shimmering clothing, and look how big this person is. This person isn't actually a giant. He or she is just depicted this way because they're of the highest importance, highest in rank. And these people, I'm guessing they're royalty as well because of their prosthetic beard. This is worn. This isn't actual, it's not actual beard. I think these are prosthetics. And the clothes they're wearing. So these people are also royalty, but of less importance. Let's look at this one. If you look at this one, clearly these three figures may be royalty. They're more important people. And the other people who are naked are most likely servants. And then here you see someone of royalty. Okay, look how big this person is. And these are gods. This is a god, this is a god, this is a god. So gods had animal heads. I think everyone knows that this is Anubis. I don't know who the rest are. I think this is Ra. Ra is the sun god, and I think he had an owl head. So this is a depiction of the afterlife. After death, this person is on his or her throne, and there are gods serving him. It may be a scene of judgment because you see the scale right here. Clearly, usually scales like these balances, they symbolize judgment, and that's been the case in a lot of civilizations, to see if you're worthy of the afterlife or not. Okay, so if you look at this one, you'll see that they have multiple rows, right? And these rows are to depict perspective because they didn't know how to draw people behind each other, and also they wanted to be very clear about what they're trying to communicate. So they drew people on top of each other. They're rows, and this depicts perspective. Okay, so let's do some comparison. Let's see if you can guess which is which. What civilization is this from? And what civilization is this from? Okay, so clearly, everyone knows this one. This is the Sphinx. This is Egyptian, and the Sphinx is one of the very few examples of someone having a human head and an animal body. Usually, it's the other way around, right? So in Egypt, usually you would see an animal head and a human body. But this is an exception. This is the Sphinx, and this is Egyptian. And this one is Mesopotamian. You can tell just by the beard and the curly beard as well. And of course, Mesopotamian is flat. They had a lot of reliefs. It's not freestanding. They have freestanding sculptures, but this one is a relief. And it's the body sideways, side profile, and the head is facing forward. Usually if it's Egyptian, the face would be facing sideways as well. Okay, so which is which? This one is Mesopotamian, okay, beard and depiction of war. This one is Egyptian, side profiles, body facing slightly forward, shoulders not on top of each other, they're side by side, and the face is looking sideways. Okay, and you see the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Okay, what about this one? This one this is Egyptian for sure. You can tell by their clothes, and you can tell that because their shoulders are not overlapping. They're not on top of each other, but they're side by side. All the shoulders in Egyptian paintings and drawings, the shoulders don't overlap. The body is always sideways, and the legs are always facing one way, and the face is also facing one way. Okay. This one it may be Mesopotamian, but it also may not be Mesopotamian. This is actually a trick question. We're going to see more of this later as we near the medieval period or the Byzantine.